Hi there, welcome to the third video on integers. Before we get started today on subtraction, which is my bugaboo, I don't like it. I have a plan, I'm gonna share it with you, solve all the problems. I wanna make a suggestion for you, and it's something we're gonna do in classes here, is for each section that we do, or each topic that we do, I wanna have a review sheet. So if before your next test, you're struggling or you're doing questions and you're just like, oh, I can't remember how to do this one. You've got all the information you need on one sheet in one spot, and it's pretty colored, so you can find it instead of having to flip through all your notes and get frustrated. So I just want to do a review of how far we've gotten in integers. So we have looked at adding. And when I do this, and I know this works because I did it in high school, I did it through university. For all my university courses, especially the sciences, I took organic chemistry was probably the worst class I ever took. We had to memorize, it felt like thousands of equations, but it was probably maybe 20 or 30 different equations, types of equations we had to memorize. I would write down the rule and then I would have a couple of examples. And I did that for everything. And then when it came time to study for a test, instead of having to, go through my textbook or read through, a couple inches worth of notes, I had maybe 10 pages of stuff I had to memorize. And it was kind of a mind game. It was like, I can memorize 10 pages worth of stuff. Whereas my big, thick binder full of notes, I was like, oh, that's too much. There's no way I can do that. Anyway, here we go. So there were two rules. One, signs are the same. Add a new sign or bigger. What is important, I think, is not just writing that out. Well, I mean, that is, but put some examples. Because there's been times where I've written stuff and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then I look at the examples, oh, that's what that means. So +6 plus 2 is +8. 5 plus 9 is equal to 14, which you'll know, but it's these ones. Just a reminder, pink chip plus pink chip gives me more pink chip. Pink chip, pink chip, pink chip. Blue chips gives me more blue chips. And it might not be a bad idea if you like the T-charts. I mess up my drawing here. And do what works for you. If you don't, if you're really worried about being stressed out during an exam, you could even go so far as putting like the little pluses in. So there's my first rule. If the signs are the same, I'm going to add. The signs are different. Subtract. Okay. So if they're different, I'm going to subtract. I'm going to use the sign of the bigger one. So minus 8 plus 2 minus 4 plus 10. 7 plus minus 3. And what other option have we got? 2 plus minus 10. There. I think I've written them all possible ways. So signs are different. So 8 minus 2 is 6. Sign of the bigger one. 10 minus 4 is 6. Sign of the bigger one. 7 plus, okay, then we rewind. Signs are different, subtract, sign of the bigger. Signs are different, subtract, sign of the bigger. Signs are different, subtract, that's going to give me 4, sign of the bigger. Signs are different, so don't forget. And if that messes with you, sorry, didn't realize my thing had turned. Put the signs in, put the pluses in. If there is no sign on a number, you can put a plus. And that's going to give me, I'm going to subtract 8 and negative. So maybe this is enough to remind you when it's on opposite sides, you're going to subtract, or maybe you want to do that. And I'm not saying you have to do that for every single question. But if you've got the 1 there, it's kind of like having a teddy bear. So your little security blanket there. And then you know where it came from. Julio. So we did that. And then we did multiplication and division. Sock math. Positive times positive. Pink sock and a pink sock gives me positive. This is the time where a negative times a negative. So if there's a pair, when you don't have a pair, like that. And then again, I would do plus 2 times 8 and minus 6 times minus 4. Just give yourself some examples so that you know exactly what that means. So again, with multiplication and division, I don't care which number is bigger. It's just pair, not pair. It's as simple as that. All right. So that, my friends, is as far as we've gotten. Sock math, and that's addition. So what's missing? And this is the one that always caused me grief because I just felt it was really confusing. So by changing my order here, I have faith. You are my guinea pigs. Things are going to go up. Yes. Oh, that would have worked better if I had taken both pages. Yes, we're going to look at subtracting today. And I called it a new plan because it was just ugly. There's no other nice way to say it. It just never worked really well for me. I mean, I could do it, but I couldn't explain it. And part of the problem is students would go, so is that subtracting or is that a -6? And I'd go, yep. Or they'd say it there. And it drove them nuts because, you know, basically it is the same thing here. Let me get a little closer. All right. So subtracting and adding a negative. So whether you go 5 - 6 or 5 plus -6, you're still going to get the same answer. But it just caused grief. So anyway, this is my new plan. Check this out. Number 1 is we're going to simplify any double signs that we find. And this is what I mean by double signs. So I think you can see clearly this is the subtract sign and we're subtracting -4. But let's use the multiplication rules. A negative times a negative is a positive. So this just becomes 12 plus 4 and we're done. And whoops, no, we're not done. 16, ta-da. There we go, right? Now we've got 12 plus -4. So we're going to go 12 and a positive times a negative is a -4. I'm just going to, oh, I guess you already know that, right? 12 minus 4 is 8. But here's the weird thing. So adding a negative or subtracting a positive, those are kind of like the same thing. But if I just go like this, because a negative, the signs aren't matching, so it goes to a negative, is 8. Signs aren't matching, goes to a negative. Signs are matching, it's a positive. And there's only 4 possibilities. Those are the only ways I can write that. Okay. And it should work out every single time. Now, so these ones worked out pretty easy just because you're used to doing like 12 minus 4 is 8. This isn't anything difficult. But what if we had a bigger number in the back? And that's where this part comes in. But you get to use the addition rules. So don't let, hold on, gotta find my worksheet. Here we go. All right, here's my practice round. So I'm going to rewrite this question. And my I got a negative sign and another negative sign and 2 negative signs make a positive. So instead of this being a subtract question, this just becomes 5 plus 2. And you already know what the answer is to that, 7. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, this doesn't even have a double negative sign. All right, so my rule set, circle of terms with a sign in front. So I'm just going to think this is one term and this is my other term. And now I'm going to use the rules for adding. So -2 and a -13, that's gonna make more negatives. So it's gonna be -15. I'm pausing and going slow because I want to make sure this makes sense. I've never done a video like this. All right, oh, double sign. 12, two negatives make positive. Those are both positive. We already know how to do that. There we go. So here's another thing that subtraction does. Is like sometimes you can look at the question, you know exactly what you're going to do because you've been doing it before. So like 14 minus 12 is 2. But we can think of this as a term, and this is a term. So you're gonna just subtract because they're not the same and use a sign of bigger. So it still worked. All right, negative 10 and negative 4. We're going to add those together. The signs are the same, so we're going to add, 14, and it's going to be negative. All right, two negatives make positive. And that's going to give you 15, right? Because they're both positives. All right, 3 minus 2 is 1. I'm not going to circle the terms and talk about it because you can just do it. You've been doing it all your life. All right, negative 8. Oh, be negative 8. And then this is going to be plus 3. My signs are different, so I'm going to subtract, which will give me 5. Take the sign of the bigger one. All right, I think what you should do is pause the video right now. And then we will do some more of these, okay? But you have to try it on your own. Excuse me, I can't emphasize that enough. Just, it's like if you're learning a sport, you can't just watch people on TV do it and then hope that you're gonna remember how to do it and be able to do it. You need to do the practice. So please pause the video, try some, answers are in the back, and see how it goes. Okay, welcome back. I'm hoping it went well for you, because if it did, then you can just fast forward through the rest of this. Right, a negative and a negative is going to make me a positive. So 7 plus 12. I'm adding, my signs are the same, so I'm just going to add, it's going to give me 19. A double negative there, negative 16. A negative times a negative gives me positive 2. Now that I'm adding, my signs are different. So I'm going to subtract, which is 14, and take the sign of the bigger one. All right, minus 13 minus 10. So I want to think of this as one term, and this is the other, and they have the same sign. So I'm going to add them up. That's going to be 23. Take the sign of the bigger one. I'm making changes as I go. All right. One's a plus, one's a minus. I'm going to subtract. That's going to give me 14. Take the sign of the big one. I'm excited. I kind of like that. Let me try that again. All right, going to put a box around my terms. Negative, negative, 2 negatives. When we're adding or subtracting, there's no multiplication in this. It just makes more negatives. So negative 20. Oh, got a double negative there. So again, depending on what software I use or where this comes from, the questions can look slightly different. But it's going to be minus 1 plus 6. My signs are different, so I'm going to just subtract. Take the sign of the bigger one. I think that's it. I think that's it for this video.
Practice some today, practice some tomorrow, keep practicing. And make sure as you practice that you check. Don't do more than 3 or 4 before you check, because the last thing I want you to do is doing a bunch of them wrong. And if you are still struggling, then come to me and we will work one-on-one and make this happen. Thanks for joining me today.